Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Gardens Grow. Today is May the 27th. It's my great niece's birthday, and I don't mean her first birthday. I mean she was born today. Happy birthday, Marley. And I have been so busy out here today. I finally got out here. I got some of my peonies clipped back. Doesn't that look so much better than the last time you saw it on here? And I trimmed all the old roses off over here. And it may look a little bare out here today because remember when there were roses here and here and here, and I cut them all back. I told you I was going to try to do that and get ready for putting some new ones on next season, but I found some that were on sale, and the climbing roses and their own root roses. And so I'm just excited about that. I went ahead and put some root kill on the roses that I had there. And of course I did leave this one and the ones over on the this fence are the old roses now too. But I am going to leave those. But I plan to go ahead and put the new roses here. I actually only found 3, and I know even as I ordered them that even though they didn't say out of stock, I may get a message that does say that very thing. So I may not have them this year, but it doesn't really matter. I'll have it ready for next year. And I think there's some clematis on these. I don't know if they'll come on up and do much, but it'll be fine because it's the beginning of a new color on here. And while I'm looking through this and seeing these, I just love this sedum, and I'm not sure the name of it, but doesn't it just look like, let me get over there closer where I can show you better, but doesn't it look like little green and purple roses? It's so pretty. And a little rose that I had right here had also gone back to the old red rose. You can see the petals that fell off it, but I don't want that rose here. I actually have one picked out that I want here, but it's out of stock, so I'll have to try it again next spring. But I think it'll be worth the wait if I can get it in there. And while I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure and feeling like all the rest of my roses are their own root, so I don't think they'll be changing over to the old root roses. And there's nothing wrong with those old root roses either. They're beautiful and they smell wonderful. But I just want 1 or 2 or 3 of them, and then the rest of them I want different colors. Look how this little pot has filled out and grown. It has really taken off. And this is a wonderful, easy little sedum plant, but I put it on these rock, and even then sometime it will try to grow up there. So you have to be sure not to put it somewhere where it'll reach, because it will go ahead and go all the way down to the bottom of this pot, that's why I got this pot. I got a tall one so that I could put it in there and it have room to grow, but it actually will grow all the way down in some years, not every year, but most. It'll grow all the way down to the end and then try to keep going. So it can become invasive, but if you can contain it, it's so easy to grow and so beautiful. I also wanted to show you this little campanella bluebells, It's blooming today and looking good. Also, while I was out over here trimming my roses off, I also took a bunch of this. This is the tall Laura phlox, which it does the best for me, but it's also just about to get out of hand, so I trimmed some of it down. And then I also definitely trimmed it away from this little pot because it had totally covered it up, but now you can see it again. I don't know how long it'll stay that way because this may grow some, but it probably won't go ahead and get as big as tall as the rest of it is there. I do like some of it to be kind of tall, however, up against that fence. I think it looks good. And I'm seeing that my little Sambucol Black Elderberry has blooms on it this morning. I love the part of gardening where you come out and find all kinds of new blooms. Now this is the part I don't really like because this is a periwinkle, but you can tell it's not healthy, very much not healthy. It may not live. And also I did come out yesterday and sprinkle, this is that you see the white is alyssum, the white alyssum. I also have a little bit of purple in places, but mostly I had white. But it's all beautiful, especially in the fall. If it can make it through summer's heat, it will shine in the fall. It will just double and triple in size and just flow down and fill out, and it's just gorgeous. Even though it's a tiny little flower, it seems almost insignificant, but then you notice it. You start to notice its significance in the garden. And also, while I was doing that, I put a few more of the short zinnias that I use for container zinnias. In various places in the garden. And I was afraid after I put it there that my little diamond frost euphorbia was going to get lost in this pot and not even show up. But I see those bright lights. That's what it reminds me of. Little tiny Christmas lights glowing in the garden. And I knew I wanted to take those roses out. You can tell I still need to trim all these roses. But I wanted to take those other roses out, the old ones. But I was dreading it. I was so dreading it because just to trim the roses can be such a long, hard chore. But it was easy. I'm not kidding you. It was so easy. Just go down to the bottom of the cane and trim them off, pick them up and put them in the back of the pickup. I hope they're that easy for my husband to take off for me, because I think I can get him to do that. So it's just wonderful to have it done, have a job done, and find out that the job was not nearly as hard as I thought it would be. I didn't know if I'd have time to get it all done today, and I thought, well, maybe I'll just do those 3. But once I did those 3, I thought, well, there's no reason not to go ahead and get the rest of them off. So we've got a job done. And I'm not going to always have this time, because actually I need to water today. Not most of the plants don't need it, but all the little seeds I put in absolutely do need it. If we don't get rain, but there actually is still a chance, so I keep hoping we'll get some more rain. But that's, I'm so spoiled now, I don't know if I'll ever be able to water again. But I think I've told you in times past, I love being spoiled. Okay, look at oh my goodness, there's 2 of them. I thought I was going to get to show you one of these. Oh gosh, let me get this one. It's going to die. It's going to keep going. And this one will try. This little beetle right here is the one I'm beginning to have trouble with now. And it also flies. I'm going to have to squash this right now because it will fly away. So I do not want either of those bugs in my garden, but they try to come every year. The first time I saw that little green one, I thought, oh, this must be a good bug. It's probably a cousin to the ladybug. But as you know, I found out different. So I always try to get rid of those things. So I need to spray with insecticide soon, very soon. And I think this little cardinal decided to, I think they switched their nest to over here in this orange rose bush, which I did not trim either, and it looks bad. But did you see that female fly out of there too? I'm pretty sure they might be making a nest over there somewhere. Not positive of it, but it looks that way. And I think they maybe did abandon their little nest over here. I have not seen anything else going on. It seems to be the same size that it was, so I don't think she's still building there. And as I went over there, I forgot to not go up here because my canvas over my little swing is dilapidating and falling apart. I try to get down here so you don't see that part. But also, my little great-granddaughter told me that I could order one from from Amazon. So that's my next plan. And I definitely don't have all of my peonies or anything else trimmed down, but I'm just so happy to get the roses done. Maybe that'll spur me on. And I better get pictures of these roses while I can. They'll soon be dwindling down too, and I will miss it. I will miss this bright spot of red when it's gone. Look at this little wren. I think they're so pretty. It came out of this little birdhouse here, but I don't know if it was just resting in there or hopefully it was nesting in there. Katie and Ben, look what I found. A turtle. A water turtle from the lagoon. I'm pretty sure you don't want this, and I'm sure your mom doesn't. But isn't he cute? Look at the little double impatiens this morning. Don't they look great? You already know I'm totally besotted with begonias, but look at this little miniature like bloom. Isn't that so pretty? And I think that maybe today I'm going to clip this little top one that's growing up above the others out and try to restart it somewhere else in the garden. And I'll have two. This lovely strawberry pot full of impatiens has done so great after all of our rains. It looks just like it looks in the fall when it's all filled out and all mature. Looking good. Would to God my little mini petunia or calabachoa would look like this all season. Isn't that beautiful? Noticed my little Mexican flame vine had literally this whole side right here had just wilted off, but luckily there's another little piece to it that's looking great. I hope it continues to look great. And that part that had wilted, I cut it off and I put it in another pot with some rooting powder on its little stem, and I'm hoping it will take off and go again too. That would be great. Look at my little oh, I'm going to forget the name of this plant, the one that makes the Hawaiian lace. But look, it's beginning to open up its little top leaves. It loved that rain, of course it did. My little transplanted creeping Jenny here under my strawberry pot is doing well. The one in the back by the swing's not doing so good. And my little seedlings are coming up, some of them. But the biggest portion in the sides, I don't know if they will since they haven't yet. But I did notice that there's one here. And I think, yes, there's one on the other side there too. So at least we have two. And I'm going to go in and see if I can find some more seed and give them another chance. This little pot is trying to drown out. So right now I'm going to see if I can make the hole in the bottom of this bigger so it will drain more freely. Okay, there now it has a much larger and hopefully better drain hole for this little pot. But I am going to have to put a little more soil in here and dig out the seeds again. There's several anyway that didn't germinate that I would like to refill. I'm kind of tired of that job, but it definitely will be worth doing. Our rains may be over for the spring rains. I hope not. And I hope we get several summer rains to give us relief. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and empty this and hope we get some more. But for right now, when we had a half, just a little over a half, it gave us a full 4. You know, I'm thinking it might have been 5, but I think it was 4 inches of rain. And then we got another half, so that was great. And so that makes our total at least 4.5 inches for the spring former rains. I'm still pulling up little seedling trees. This is an elm, and I'm definitely pulling up maple, redbud. I think there might be even some more that I'm pulling up, but definitely those. And these are probably weeds. This looks like a weed to me. But I also planted some things over here, so I'm not sure I'm ready to pull those up yet until I know for sure what they are. And when I said that maybe it spurred me on to get my little roses out, oh my goodness, I worked until dark out here, and I trimmed back everything over here on this side. I see there's another little rose right there that has succumbed. But there's another one over here that's just beginning to bloom. So there'll always be some things in the garden we need to do, but you don't see old dead pennies hanging off of everything. I got so much done. Look at this little red penstemon right here. The hummingbirds have probably been here. If not, they will come. And this is the beautiful rose-colored salvia, looking great this morning too, which also they like. It looks like I may have found a place for lamb's ear. I know anybody can grow lamb's ear but me. But anyway, I think it's finally decided I like it here. This is its second year to grow back for me. And I'm seeing another little elm tree seedling coming up. I'll get that one out. Also, my little clematis died here, and I did order another, and then thankfully it's looking great. Oh my goodness, it looks like there might possibly be a little mold tunnel right there, which is what probably took the first one out, most likely. I'll have to get some mold poison out here. A rest for the gardener. But sometimes beauty beyond measure, so wonderful. And this side I did all of it, as far as trimming back all the old dead iris on this side and all the dead peonies on this side, and it will not be long now until this side will light up with beautiful daylilies. They still lack a little, you can tell, but it won't be all that long now. Before they will be in full bloom. I also did not hoe out the little seedlings that's coming up all under my evergreen trees, but I'm hopefully fixing to do that in just a little while today. And I trimmed this little vine back a bit. It will probably have to be trimmed one more time so that hopefully it will bloom all together when it blooms. This is a fall blooming autumn clematis. It blooms white and it is gorgeous. It also brings those certain type of bugs that look like greenish, whitish blister bugs. Look, so much of my clematis has gone now, and yet it still has some gorgeous ones there to greet us. And I did not quite finish getting all the old blooms off of this little one too. And I usually take a hold of it and put this somewhere, but in a trash bag, and get rid of it. But I didn't on this one. There's just so many and so little. I usually just let them fall to the earth, and hopefully they do some good for the soil. And I forgot that I had this little purple on here with the Princess Diana, but I like it that way very much. But it does not have room for another clematis to grow on it, and guess what? I put another clematis at the bottom of this. So well, I don't know, because actually I had this over here on this side of it a bit, growing up a little stand trellis, a little plant stand trellis, but I don't know. There's not room for it up here. This is going to fill it out totally. I may try to dig this up and move it, but I certainly don't want to kill it in the process. I'll have to think about that one. I saw a little snake out here a few days ago. It was just laying out sunning itself on top of these leaves. It was kind of a, I don't know, a pale rusty orange. Is almost pretty, but I'm not fond of snakes at all. I don't like snakes. I wish they would stay out of my garden. But my great-granddaughter, Sophia, is fond of snakes. Look, I just saw the first daisy to bloom in my garden. There will be many more following suit, I think. Got so much done today. I was even airborne for a little while. Right here is where I launched off and landed flat on my back. I think that my guardian angel was out here looking at the garden with me, because something allowed me to know to twist and turn this way, and the ground was still soft because of our recent rains. So I survived this pretty well. I had just a little tenderness on my neck and head where I fell, and I fell, like in my case, I fell 5 foot and 2 inches straight down, airborne. So it was quite an experience. But I got so much done. I got most of the things on my list accomplished. Well, first of all, my friend Oma got me this and gave it to me Sunday at church, and I couldn't read it. I was like, lazy plant lady? I don't think so. Oh, busy plant lady, but then would they put busy? Is that supposed to be funny? Because, you know, busy is not always very funny. And then she said, crazy. It's crazy plant lady. I'm sorry. And then I laughed because, I thought it was funny too. Then it was great. It was just great. The crazy plant lady, a lady who buys plants she doesn't need, then digs up and moves existing plants in order to make room for more plants. So that pretty much sums me up right there. And then after I got most all of this list done, we still went shopping. I found some forget-me-nots, which I have some, but I did not want to go through all those seed again. I'm so tired of looking through seed, and I thought, I'll just check and see if they might have me some. And they did, so I'm going to try to plant these maybe today. And I also did realize that I watched the weather report this morning and found out that we are in line for some sunny days today, and maybe tomorrow. We have like a 30% chance of rain tomorrow. So and then after that we have another week of possible rains. So actually I'm excited about it. I know most people are getting tired of it, but as I've told you, when God lets it rain, He gives me time to do other things, and that's really how I've got so much done in the garden this year, and got it done quicker because I've had better weather and was able to do it, because I just can't do some of this stuff in the full heat of summer. I still need to put down some unwanted, undesirable grass killer on my lawn, front and back. We've just got it. We've been mowing. My husband mowed the alleyway and up at our church, and really just brought more and more weeds and unwanted grass here. I did spray for the weeds, but it did not kill the unwanted grasses, and it killed a bunch of the weeds, but I've noticed some of them coming back too. So at some point I want to do that, but I'll probably wait now until after the rains and do it in the heat, which even the weathermen are telling us, like we didn't already know. It's coming. It'll be here. This is unusual for us to have this, but this is more like how I remembered it when I was a child, because the real heat didn't come on until July, and then especially August. But now it seems to come in May and stay there. So it was wonderful to have this much time to work in the garden and to get some things ready and going. And I literally have little seedlings coming up everywhere. They're not coming up in this pot though, but guess what I found in there? A snail. So I don't know if they just didn't come up in this pot, or if that little snail just ate every one of them. So I still have a few pots that I would like to put some more seed in. But yesterday, one of the things on my list was to fill up the little spots in my containers that did not have seeds coming up. You can tell there is enough coming up here in this. You can get it where you can. In this little strawberry pot at the top of it, but not around the little. There's only 2 of them that had any in them. But I put some more seed, and I actually use every bit of my red orange zinnia, profusion zinnia seed, so I'm hoping it will take this time. And the same thing happened in this one, that not all of these had a seedling in them, so I did put some more. You can tell that one there on the bottom has several in it. That will be great. And then the one right above it has none. So, but I did put some more seed in there, and hopefully this will still fill out. And I also have a chance to, like if they don't have any in them, some of the ones that have 2 or 3 in them I can take out and put in the other. So there'll still be a chance that these will all be one color. Or there may be another chance that I may have put some of those colors in some of these other pots, and then when they bloom and I know what color they are, I can put them in these. But we'll see how all that goes. Hopefully they'll just work and just be a billowing beauty of these happen to be yellow and pink profusion zinnias in this pot. Also, I did go ahead and trim back all the old dead blooms in the back, the ones that I didn't get to on Saturday. And so I did those on Monday. And I chopped out all those seedlings in the back under those evergreen trees. And that's a job that I also hate. But I do know that it's much better to get them while they're little baby seedlings than when they start growing, and then you can't get them out without going under there and pulling them out with some pliers or just putting some root kill on them. But anyway, they're out now, and unless there's some more that pop up, which is always possible. So, but it's a good feeling to have that done. I also did find my little purple globe flower seeds, and I sprinkled them in some of these pots around, and also I put them in my seed box. So I'm hoping they will come up and be beautiful later on in the season. And a little later on this week, we plan to go visit my husband's sister with his twin brother and his wife. And I'm going to stop back by Susie's, and you'll get to see her strawberry pot. And she's got it all filled out with beautiful impatiens. And my husband actually helped me to trim the weeping willow. It was draping down too far, way too far for me. I like it to be a canopy effect, not a total cover-up. I like to see what's under there. So, but he helped me trim it down, and it really wasn't very hard at all. We got that done. It's just that it takes so much time. But even afterward, we did have time to go do some shopping. So we had a really great day yesterday. Look how this little stained glass plum colis is taking off. It's totally filling out this pot. And I did put some little alyssum along the edges too of the pot. So hopefully they will look good. If not this summer, at least by this fall. And I was even lucky enough to find this little bacopa, and I am tired of planting, so I didn't get a whole lot, even though I did get some seed. And this plant, I was so hoping to have another chance at this little plant, but then again, this is what I did to the first one. So I've got to do something different. I don't know if there might be some bacteria in the soil, although this is a new soil in this pot because it's a new pot that I have here for this season. But I'm just going to have to redo it a little bit, and even it could be snails. It could be, because I can tell my little hosta looks pathetic down along the bottom. I'll cut all the bad parts off. I'll put a little bit more soil in here, and I will set this beautiful little plant right there and hope that it will live. Also, I did go ahead and start some little seedlings inside. I had had some hard time starting some of these. This one back here is that beautiful hibiscus chartreuse rose. Oh, I wish it would go ahead and sprout and live and be wonderful. But there's several plants here that I would like to get back in the garden, but I don't know if I will. And I didn't find any of the pink Terenia or any Terenias this year, and I like it too. This was a little white and purple verbascum, this one right here, that I wanted to get started. Never had got it started, just had a few seeds left in the packet. So I'm trying it in this too, where I can watch and make sure whether or not it comes up. And so that's what's going on here. I'm still not quite through with my inside plants and my plant lights. And my husband measured this for me, so I've got to try to get another one. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel. I love it that little seeds are coming up everywhere, and this looks like it could use a little watering today, especially if we leave it tomorrow and to do other things. So I may come out here and water again today, even though most things don't need it, but some of my little seedling pots do. And since I realize I already have two different clematis growing up this little trellis, when I planted that other one right down here where there's a bare spot now, because I did go ahead and move it, but I thought, well, there's plenty of room there for another one, but for growing up on it there's not. So I did go ahead and move it. Let me get this one in the picture just because it's looking so good right now. Oh, I don't see any little seedlings coming up in this pot, so I will need to either transplant something there or go ahead and plant some more seedlings there, or seeds there. And I may go ahead and look around while I'm in the city and see if I can find a few plants on sale that I might want to put here. I tried twice to put a butterfly gara here, but it's just not liking it here for some reason. So I may try again, but I probably most likely will just try to find something else to go there. And I think the weeping willow just looks better like this. It's still got the hang down pretty effect, but it doesn't hang down so much you can't look under it and see what's beneath it. I was trimming this little rose. That's when I realized that it does not have a clematis on it. I did plant one here at one time, but something has happened to it, most likely a rodent. But whatever has happened, we put that other one here, or I put that other one here. Actually, my husband did help me with this one. He dug it out, and then I dug this hole and put it in here. And he did help me with the trimming of the weeping willow. And while it's not a job that you can tell I did anything, it was wonderful to get those little seedlings out from under this, because oh, can you imagine what a chore that would be if they were growing into trees already. So the little seedlings weren't that hard to get out, but it's just hard to get under these trees to get anything out from behind them. So it's a welcome to have that job done. You know, a job to do is just a stress point, and then the other side of that is a job to done, because that's wonderful. And this little pot got some fresh seed in it, so it's starting over. Hopefully they will bloom and grow. And I did use my yellow and pink profusion zinnias in it. I hope they will do great and look beautiful. But I love to see under the weeping willow. And this is the spot where I have all of my shade plants and house plants. So these are looking good too. For some reason this one is just taking off like crazy. The one behind it there is not quite so full, but it's doing well. It's healthy, so maybe it'll take a growth spurt and do great too. These big Kong coleuses are just so pretty. Of course, I love even a small coleus. They're just, can hardly be beat for color. And they actually get a little sun through here too. Some of the weeping willow still there, but I was saying they do get a little sun. You can tell that there's sun coming through on this little pot. And my lilies did well there. They're all gone but that one now. But they did well there. They're getting enough sun. Look at this beautiful little double impatient. They look just like roses. Speaking of, I got some roses yesterday too, some little miniature roses. I think they're even hardy. I'm hoping they are. I had a couple that were. I put them in pots, and evidently my pots didn't drain that well through the winter. They did fine through the summer, but they didn't make it through the winter. So I'm thinking that I've got to make sure I haven't a really good drain hole for putting the roses if I'm going to put them in pots, and I do like them in pots, the little miniature roses, and put in a little trellis. Let me go around here on this other side so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. But see this little trellis right here? It's a skinny little trellis, and it goes down and fits right inside. Actually, now that I tell you that, it's in the ground, but I may put one of those. No, I have a little miniature rose right here, so I probably won't put it there. But I do have this is another one of those right over here on this side. It doesn't really have anything in the pot yet. I planted a seed there, but I don't know. It hasn't come up yet anyway. But these are so narrow that you can put them in a pot and put a trailing or a vining plant in there to go up it. So that's the purpose of this, which I haven't really got it going good to do that yet, but it's still a possibility. I love possibilities. My begonias are still doing great. This little pot had Chinese dunce cap in it, and I'm going to find a pot that has too many in it and replant some in this. At least that's the plan. They look so pretty in there. But this one, oh my goodness, it loved me. It loved being where I put it. It didn't even mind being in my home, which most houseplants just can't stand that. But anyway, these are looking good. This is my new one for this year. This also is a new one, and this is a new one, and it's doing great. Looking so good. And this is another little pot where my seedlings are not coming up. I see there's a little seedling right here, but I'm almost sure that's a tree seedling, so that will have to go at some point. And I know I recognize this one. And this is another tree. They're coming up right now. This little begonia is not doing as great as I thought it would, but it's alive and it could take off and go at any time, so I'm hoping that it will. And look at this. Even though it's just a little scrap of what it was last year, it's getting more healthy. I can tell that it's getting more healthy, so maybe I'll get to keep it too. That's great. This is one of the little curly airplane plants. Looking at this strawberry pot, and I remember putting a few of the globe flowers, the purple annual globe flowers in this, and then I thought, I think that's what I put in here. I ran out of the pink profusion zinnia seeds, and so I'll just put some yellow profusion zinnia seed with purple globe flower, and I think that's going to look great. With all our rains, the pots are beginning already to fill out. I was telling my stepson that they actually look, some of the plants, not necessarily the ones I'm showing you right now, but there are some of the plants that look as good already this season as they do in the fall when they have their full growth on them, because of the rains. They just, and the cooler weather, they've just had it easy and they're loving it. It just makes you wish life could always be easy. I see that I missed a spot on my sweet pea. I trimmed it back too severely, for it was just laying everywhere. I like it much better looking like this, even though I trimmed the bloom off. I just wonder if it's not too late to transplant some of this. I wanted to do it last fall so it'd be ready to go this spring, but I did not have the time and get around to doing that. But you can tell it's kind of laying down there in the middle. And I think if we have some more good rainy days, which we are supposed to do, I may come and dig this up and divide it and put it in other places, because this will die out if you don't divide it. And oh, it's much too beautiful to just let it die. This is where I used the last of my pink profusion zinnias, so, and I didn't have very many at all, so I actually added a few yellow too. So this should be some type of blend of yellow and pink. And you can tell there's several pots where nothing at all came up, so I'm hoping that it will this time and that it will look beautiful before the season's over. Look at these pretty double petunias showing off. And my niece Lacey said, "Oh, Aunt Nancy, save me one of those." So when it puts up a new little stem, I'll try to get it started for her. Hopefully it will put up one, maybe not this season, but maybe next spring. And somehow I ended up with two of this rose. You can see that one right down there is the same color and type of rose. So at some point I may take this one of these little roses out just to have a different color rose in its place. But that won't be something I'm going to think about any too soon. I love this little miniature rose. It's been here for years, growing right alongside this beautiful, the President clematis. And I did also put a niobe on here because their bloom lasts longer. I do like things that last. It won't last too much longer, but it's lasts long enough to enjoy it a little bit more. And I saw that one of my kale plants is coming up, not right here. In this, I'm pretty sure this is a tree. I'm going to pull this up. There, I got that one out of there. And if the ground wasn't soft, I'd have probably had to have the pliers to pull it up. So when they get this big, they're hard to get out. I was saying I planted a kale in this and it didn't come up, but I did see some coming up. They don't look like much now, but if they look anything like the one I saw when I visited my daughter's gardens, it just like thick rubber. Is such a beautiful plant, and I think I'll try to transplant it right here in this little pot. This is another pot that is looking kind of dry. It needs some water, and I don't know if even that will bring the seed up from this one, but I do have plenty more seed if I get myself around and find it. But I also will look when I'm out and about again. I will look and see if I can find some more plants to put in these few spots that didn't have anything coming up in them. And this little pot over here looks like it doesn't, but if you get closer you can see that it's got little tiny plants coming up, which happen to be alyssum. And this is the one thing that I determined to try to do, because all my alyssum last year were put in the smaller pots, but I've just been thinking that that tiny little plant could just do great wonders. We'll see what will happen. And actually I do have a chrysanthemum there in the center, which we all know could just take over that whole spot, like this one has taken over this spot. Oh look, it's a coneflower. A coneflower is beginning its bloom. And another surprise, look at this, a pretty lily beginning to open. I thought these might be open, but no, they're not quite yet, but any day now. And look at this little tiny strawberry pot filling up with pretty pink rose moss. And right beside it there is another of the miniature roses growing up this little shepherd's hook. And these are what I think is the kale. So I planted 3 of them there just to see if they would grow up, and I think they're the only ones that did. So, but 3 is plenty for me, and I really just wanted one to make an impressive statement like the one that I put on my Instagram and Facebook pictures that was all the way full grown and beautiful. And I wanted to go down this little row because there's another lily at the end right before you get to that bright reddish pink rose that I want to check on. And no, it hasn't opened yet, but it's thinking seriously about it. This is the little sweet potato vine that I kept in the window all winter long. It was looking yellow and not doing well at all, but now it's looking great. And this little tiny pink bacopa looked terrible when I put it in, and now look, it looks good. And my pretty little blue one died, and it looked so great. So you just never know, just like in life. If you think you're not very pretty, just hold on one. You could be like a swan. I've always found comfort in that story. And right here may be some of the little starts I'll get to put in that little ceramic white basket that I just showed to you. These are the Chinese dunce caps. Look, Oma, what a find this crazy plant lady found yesterday. Aren't these little miniature roses just beautiful? And then I found some ivy because I kill my ivy every year. Nobody else does that, I'm sure. But, and then this is called a, well, it doesn't really look like a maidenhair, but I think it was called, oh, it's a fluffy ruffle fern. And I'm not even sure that's hardy. The maidenhair is supposed to be. I got the wrong plant. But it's a fern. Hopefully it'll be beautiful, except that I can't seem to do ferns. But I wanted to try the maidenhair fern. But anyway, this one will be pretty too, I'm sure, if it will live for me. And I love the roses. I hope they're cold hardy and will live through the winter for me and come back like some of my other miniature roses do in the garden. Just gorgeous. Hope my little bacopa lives this time. Oh wow, look how this little variegated dew plant has just taken off. It's so pretty. I could never save these through the winter either. But they're so pretty outside. They do well for me. And my little salmon petunia is still looking great. I love this color. It probably won't last too much past June for me. It may, that would be great, but it's been my experience that mine don't. So I better get busy and get something else done today, but it's been a beautiful day for looking in the garden, even though the humidity is just something else that's really making me droop. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.